Good morning, mi gente. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Apron. I'm your host, Kassy.
And I'm Manny.
Whoa, you said that with the yawn. As Manny was introducing himself, he said that with a yawn, so it sounds a little funky, but that was kind of funny to witness. We hope you guys are having a great Saturday and a great weekend. Babe, what are we going to get up to this weekend? The weather's been kind of weird.
I mean, it's not that it's that crazy. We wanted to, be outside with Eddie, but we got a random cold front for no good reason, so...
Cold front and wind, storm.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a storm, but it's definitely, random winds.
No, yeah, the winds have definitely picked up in our area, and it's kind of hard to want to be outside with the baby. But so, babe, I have a question for you. What is the most that you would ever pay for a soft serve?
No more. I mean, depends on what.
Okay, so let's say
If
in
it's
a
just a
touristy
plain,
place.
if it was a plain old 2 scoops, I would not pay more than $3-4.
Okay, but let's say you were at Disney or Universal, or you were in a touristy big city.
Oh, I mean, then I'm expecting it to be expensive. Probably the most I would expect to pay if I'm in a tourist spot would be probably $10.
Okay, so over the weekend in Washington, D.C.'s National Mall, there were some sparks of controversy when a lady shared her story, I'm guessing online, and the news articles picked it up. And so WUSA 9 news station covered the story. A lady over the weekend ordered 4 cups of soft serve ice cream, totaling to $88. She claims the vendor never disclosed the price to her and she didn't notice the amount when she originally paid. I don't know how she didn't notice it. I think that I'm kind of on top of that too.
You got to be real clueless to not see how much you're paying.
Yeah. And so she only noticed it when she looked at her bank account, I'm guessing later that day. And she originally thought that there was a mistake that had happened or that they charged her wrong. But there was no mistake. Each cup of soft serve was $22. $22. Can you imagine that?
How big is the cup?
She said that it was a small cup of soft serve. I'm not sure. She didn't specify. But So I guess there's this national mall in Washington, D.C., and it's a very touristy spot. There's a lot of vendors, I think, around the area, in the parking lot, several food trucks or ice cream trucks. Katie Luso, the news reporter for WUSA 9, she stopped by to to about a dozen ice cream trucks in the National Mall area, and she asked them about their prices. She said that they all ranged between $7 to $10, and that's the thing. Even the lady who shared her original story, she said, I expected the prices to be a little bit more expensive given the area that we were in. But she said that it was priced between, the news reporter said that the prices that they were giving her were about $7 to $10. But another woman told WUSA that she was charged $11. Another man ended up having a bargain for his ice cream. I guess another man went up to an ice cream truck and he asked him oh, how much for a soft serve cup? And the gentleman was $11. And that the gentleman told him, yeah, I don't value ice cream at that. So I'll walk, it's fine. As he was walking away, the ice cream man was telling him, no, it's fine, $8. And the man was like, no, you already lost my business. You're not gonna play me for some ice cream, dude. No, absolutely not. So that he went to another ice cream truck and there he paid $6. But even then, I think that that's very reasonable, especially in a touristy spot. $22.
If I'm not paying that, I will gladly walk my little ass to Walmart and get my cups for $4 and $3. I'm good.
Yeah. So the director of DLCP, the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection, Tiffany Crow, she chimed in saying that vendors must be transparent with their prices. She says it doesn't matter how or where they display their prices, but they need to be upfront so that the clients are aware of the cost. Wouldn't you think, if let's say you're at a premium ice cream truck, at that point you feel like you would be as a vendor, hey, let me just make you aware you're gonna pay $22 for an ice cream cup.
Yes, you should. It should be displayed. I mean,
yeah, they played her ass good. I don't know if at that point she can dispute that on her charge, or on her bank. I
Uh,
mean, I feel like at that point, if it made the news, they would probably offer a refund.
Banks can be a bitch. I mean, it's not because
Well, no, I'm talking about the ice cream truck. Will offer a refund.
I highly doubt it.
You don't think so?
Because I look at it from both sides. It boils down to the point of like, okay, it's a mix of both like negligence and like
On both
the
parties.
yeah, on both. I don't think negligence on the I was gonna say negligence and then the business like taking advantage of the negligence because it's like, okay, she's not paying attention to how much she's paying, so I'm just gonna like run up the tab, which is that yeah, it's very like unethical if you're a business, especially like a self-owned like business. Like
Yeah, like a small business.
now you just made the news for being the scamming or the severely overpriced ice cream place, and now good luck getting anyone to buy a $22 cup of ice cream from you.
Right? Kick rocks.
But
That makes so much sense, though.
in regards to the bank, I mean,
Yeah.
some banks will like look at it and be like, fine, whatever, like you didn't pay attention. But there's banks that
Yeah.
can be like, hey, you swiped your card. They told like
You were there.
you should have seen how much the total was, and you still swiped it. You're SOL, buddy.
Yeah. Normally, when you're at that type of business, like the cashier tells you, okay, it's X amount of money at any place. So did they not tell her, okay, it's going to be $88?
That's what I'm saying. It's a part of like they probably saw that she was not paying attention and was just ready to swipe, and they just charged it and told her, hey, okay, it's ready. You can
That's so messed up.
tap or swipe whenever you're ready. And she was like, okay. I was like, took her ice cream.
That is so
Because if
messed
she
up.
didn't realize until she got home and checked the bank account, that means she didn't look at the receipt. That means she didn't like look at the screen when she was paying. Like
Or
at
she didn't
that,
ask for a receipt.
I mean, well, again,
Because
yeah.
sometimes they'll tell you, do you want the receipt?
If you didn't ask for a receipt, that's fine. But like, it's again a huge just lack of self. I don't want to call it self awareness. Huge lack of awareness, like to just swipe mindlessly at like once you're about to check out. Like,
Yeah. Can
so
you
like
imagine being
I don't
that?
feel too bad for her, but like I definitely that
Yeah.
sucks.
So moral of the story, always make sure if you're at a food truck or wherever that you know how much you're paying before you swipe.
Not just food trucks, anywhere.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, especially when you're like at a
In a touristy spot.
not at a tourist spot. If you're buying something, like double check prices because there's plenty of times where I've been like, hey, why is this scanning at $5 when the tax is $5? And a lot of the time, places will price match if they label something wrong.
But do you know who's not overcharging people? Olive Garden and Texas Roadhouse. If you guys have not heard the news, we posted this on our story on Saturday night when the news dropped on April 4th for
Most profitable?
Yeah, I guess the most profitable, or the list of restaurants who were the most profitable in the year of 2024. Olive Garden has been officially dethroned. How do we feel about that, Manny?
I mean, it's kind of crazy. I didn't pay attention to a lot of this, but it's kind of crazy to think that like Olive Garden is losing to like a steakhouse. Like there's not that many big name Italian places, but there's like a lot of steakhouses. So it's
Yeah,
like
you have
it's a very
Outback.
unique it's a very unique cooking style, not cooking style, like food types at an Italian places, but you're like a steakhouse is always a steakhouse no matter where you go. You're gonna have steak and burgers. It's like which you can find everywhere.
Yes and no, but you also have to think about the atmosphere. Now that people go out. So for me, atmosphere and culture and environment is very huge for me. I don't want to go somewhere where one, I can't hear you. Two, like places here in town, like on Friday, Saturday nights, they have local like music and bands, and you go out to these places and you can't even hear like a conversation that you're having with your family. And I think for me, that's a very big thing. Like I'm all for live music and stuff, but when it comes to the point where it overpowers people having a conversation and people are screaming at the microphone, singing, I think that that's a huge downer for me. Not saying that Olive Garden and Texas Roadhouse have live music, but like that just proves my point as far as like atmosphere. I think that they're two very different atmospheres. Olive Garden is a little bit more
high end or trying to be
not even high
trying to be
end.
fancy. But
When I was younger, I always thought if I'm gonna go to Olive Garden, I'm gonna look presentable. Once I became a server, especially like at Chili's, I now can see that it's not so serious. I can go to have a drink. I can go have lunch with my friends or dinner with my friends, having just gotten off of work, having just gotten off the gym. So it's not so serious in that aspect. I can go pretty comfortable in a pretty normal person, especially at Olive Garden. Like it's not as fancy as I assumed it was growing up. But I think like the overall experience, like I think a lot of these restaurants want to have you leaving with a great experience. And Olive Garden is a very niche, like you said, it's Italian. It's not so much like you can't go everywhere and find an Italian place like Olive Garden,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I don't know how authentically Italian is because, like you said, it is a Darden concept. I don't know if like
It originated in Orlando,
yeah,
Florida. Like it's not
it's not
all
even
that
like fully
Italian.
Italian. Like it's just an Italian concept.
Inspired.
But yeah, like I mean, in my opinion, like I said, from working there, it's like people do treat it like it's high end, and their prices sort of like that because like there's dishes there that can definitely run up your tab, but there's also like they do have a lot of like options for you to
Budget
like
friendly.
yes, like there's a lot of, especially for lunch, there's a lot of lunch specials.
Mm-hmm.
Dinner, there's not so many, but like there are plates,
That are reasonably priced.
yes, that you'd like you're not gonna run up your tab like for like a date for two. Like,
Yeah.
I know we were talking about it earlier and we'll probably get into it now, but I don't recall either one of those. I always thought that Olive Garden's prices were more expensive than Texas Roadhouse, but then you were telling
Yeah.
me
No,
that
I
that's
feel like
actually not the case.
at any roadhouse, at any steakhouse, you're always going to have a higher price point because of the quality of meat that you're going to be serving. So just to kind of give you guys a little backstory before we go into like pricing and stuff, for the past 7 years, Olive Garden has maintained the #1 spot as being America's casual dining restaurant. This past year, 2024, they were outranked and dethroned by Texas Roadhouse. This steakhouse chain brought in $5.5 billion in revenue, and they only have 650 locations in the United States. That's a 15% increase from the previous year in 2023. Texas Roadhouse alone last year opened 26 locations, while Olive Garden opened 15, but they have a little bit more. They have just under 1,000 in I think the US. Regardless, they still had a phenomenal year. They brought in $5.2 billion, and I truly think that they were expecting to probably do more, or at least like maintain their #1 spot for an 8th year. They only saw 0.8% growth in sales, not even a whole 1% for this past year.
Because people are starting to understand that it's kind of overrated.
I think so. I think they are starting to see that it's a little overrated. And that's kind of crazy because even though Olive Garden has a lower price point, they have a lot more restaurants. I think they have almost 400 more restaurants than Texas Roadhouse, or 300.
I mean, that's like that could actually add to it. Like like there's so many. Not that there's so many, but I feel like I don't know where like how to word this, but I feel like it's kind of like what I said earlier. Like not that they're overrated, but it's like they've been around. I'm assuming they've been around longer
They,
than Texas Roadhouse.
I think from what I read, I think it was 1984 that they originated in Orlando, Florida. And yeah, Texas Roadhouse opened a whole 9 years later.
I mean, 9 years can be a long time. Some people might not consider it, but like I feel like not even them being around for so long, but it's like there's so much. There's only so much you can take of like Italian food being made like the same way, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
because at these kind of restaurants, they're corporations. They have a recipe they have to follow. Like and obviously every cook is different, but like if you're following a recipe or the exact same recipe for like decades at a time, which I'm assuming they have been,
Yeah.
because I don't think their menu has changed that much.
Or
Um,
drastically, yeah.
like it just gets like repetitive. Like speaking for myself, while I worked there, I did try a few different things, but like for me personally, tour of Italy
You have your
every single
go-to.
time. Like I don't really
Branch out.
it's a friendly price point. 2, you get 3 dishes for the price of 1. Like you can't really go wrong. Like I'm not, but like I did
What more
try.
could you want?
I mean, dude, you get a lasagna, Alfredo, and what's the other thing?
Chicken
Chicken
parm.
parm. Like you can literally make your own chicken Alfredo with chicken parm.
Yeah.
Like, you can't win. But it's not even that. Like even like their quote unquote, what I would say quote unquote, like out there dishes, like the shrimp carbonara, or like I feel like the only dish that I tried that I was like I would consider not getting like my tour of Italy for this. I forgot what the fuck it's called. I think it's the grill. Yes, the grilled chicken margarita. It's topped with freshly chopped tomatoes, mozzarella, basil, pesto, and lemon garlic sauce. Served with parmesan, garlic, broccoli. That like, and like I said, it's just literally grilled chicken with broccoli, and I think it's that pesto sauce that gives it like that little
Flair.
yes, that like made like when I tried it, I was like, yeah, this is good because the reason I was attracted to it because like it's grilled chicken, it's healthier than
The
like
pasta and bread.
your like the carb filled pasta and like all that. So it's like again, I don't. I mean, if you disagree with me, fine. But like, I personally like felt like it's overrated. Like, don't get me wrong. If you want to go to Olive Garden, I'm not gonna say no. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be like, no, I don't want to
It's a
go there.
classic go-to.
Like, but I just feel like, in my opinion, people look at Olive Garden like that. But like, I don't see Olive Garden as like high end, like oh, only fancy people go
Yeah.
here. Like, I see like if you want to go to like those places like that, there's places like that.
There's
Like,
places, yeah.
there's Seasons 52. There's what's the
Eddie
expensive
V's.
one? Not Eddie V's, the other one.
Capital Grill.
Yes, there's Capital Grill. Like places like that. Like that's
Although they're
like
not pasta or like Italian, but those
yeah,
are
they're
like
not.
the
But I'm saying
higher
like
end garden
that's what you
restaurants.
would call like a fancy. Like okay, if we're going here, like let's try to dress accordingly. Like
Let me look appropriate.
yes, like now on the contrast, Texas Roadhouse. I've only been there a handful of times. I can definitely
I'm
see
obsessed.
how I mean I don't that's her. I don't like I'm not a big restaurant. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't like going out. I'm a more granted I don't know how to cook. I know how to cook very few basic things. I definitely like a home cooked meal rather than like eating out for sure. The only exception to that, call
It's
me basic.
Chipotle.
I don't care. Yeah, it's Chipotle because it is cooked by hand. I've been there. I've seen it done.
I mean, I think all
Okay,
places are cooked by hand, Manuel.
but they don't have that personal touch that Chipotle does. But anywho, the atmosphere like at Texas
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, it definitely it definitely feels a lot more welcome. Like you're just like
Yeah.
it's like the place everyone like you feel like everyone would just like to go here, especially not here in a small town. Like you feel like yeah, let's go to Texas Roadhouse. Like it's like a very I personally like it because they're like I said, like it's very welcoming. It's very casual. They have
Very
like
relaxed and laid back.
TVs everywhere. Like I don't want to call it a bar, but
It's
it
not
it
actually.
gives it that atmosphere. Like you can just go hang out with your friends and like watch a
Yeah.
game for the afternoon. Like at Olive Garden, if you go there, you're just gonna be sitting there
Listening
look,
to Italian music.
which is not even that great. It's annoying
Yeah.
from experience.
But I think that there's just so much polar opposites, even as far as like their bar. Like Olive Garden bars, like I feel like they don't really get that packed, like the bar top. Texas
Don't get me
Roadhouse.
started on that.
Texas Roadhouse is a monster. I feel like they were always like neck and neck for the most part, but Olive Garden, I think, what the upper hand for them is catering. Olive Garden offers catering, and there's so many more Olive Gardens than there are Texas Roadhouses. The way Olive Garden executes their to-go is unmatched. I've never seen a restaurant execute to-go more perfectly than Olive Garden. I will give them their flowers in that area.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the fact that it took them that long. It's well, I mean, like you said, they have a lot more locations, so there's a lot more chance for profit. So I think that will be their best next move to open more locations. Now that they're making big bucks.
But
or bigger bucks.
who, Texas Roadhouse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When COVID happened, Olive Garden was a reason Darden stayed afloat. They have a very strong to-go like
System,
and they knew how to execute to-go, and the rest of the Darden concept needed to kind of play catch-up and pivot and become a more curbside forward concept. Olive Garden, I think, was the blueprint for all of the other restaurants. At least speaking from my Cheddar's experience, because at the time, Cheddar's was the newest concept that they had absorbed and bought out. For at least Cheddar's, Olive Garden was the blueprint for catering. It's so easy. Easy is it to call up Olive Garden and say, "Hey, I need a pasta. I need a dish of like I need a
Like a
catering
tray.
tray, yeah, of pasta, of lasagna, of salad, breadsticks." Like they have such a catering friendly menu as opposed to what we were trying to do as far as catering at
And
Cheddar's.
also, there's not that many like catering friendly options at Cheddar's. Like the only things we could do were like the salmon, the tenders.
At a certain point, we were even doing burgers. I think we did like a 4 burger
Someone
bundle.
just ordering 4 burgers.
Yeah, but it was a bundle. I don't know what you want me to say.
Here's your 4 burger bundle that you could have
I'm
ordered
pretty
normally.
sure.
We'll
I'm
look it.
pretty
We'll look
sure.
into that and see. Oh my god, my hip.
But that being said, I actually did some digging and some research, of course. So the Olive Garden highest menu item is going to be the shrimp carbonara, which is at priced locally here. It's the highest menu item at $23.49, so $23.50. Now Texas Roadhouse's highest menu item is going to be the porterhouse T-bone, which is priced at $33.99. And this does not include like add-ons, sidekicks, smothering. When it comes to adding on or upgrading a dish and offering like an upsell, I think Texas Roadhouse takes the win because what can you upsell at Olive Garden? Like, can you even upsell a
There,
pasta?
there are ways, but it's like you said, like there is very basic things. Like there's not stuff that's gonna be like wow. It's kind of like okay, thanks.
Exactly. Whereas with Texas Roadhouse, you can definitely upsell, and here is how. You can smother your steak with sauteed mushrooms and onions. You can add blue cheese crumbles. You can add a sidekick of shrimp, or you can add cheese. There's so much that you can do to upsell a simple steak and turn that 6-ounce, $14 steak into a $20 steak. Like there is so much that you can truly do if you want to add everything onto it. And so when you have these options available, obviously I think that your price point is not only going to go up, but it's going to skyrocket and surpass your competitors, which is ultimately what Texas Roadhouse did. And not even by a little bit, by a lot. I think that they steamrolled over them. They not only beat them at 5.5 billion over the 5.2 billion of Olive Garden, Texas Roadhouse increased their sales by 15%. That's 15% of their previous year. Olive Garden only grew less than 1%. Like, that is insane. I'm truly not sure what happened. I don't know if Olive Garden just kind of dropped the ball as a brand or if they truly thought that they were outbeating their competitors because they did not perform. A little fun fact for Texas Roadhouse is that if you've ever been there or next time you go, notice that they will always give you a little piece of their story in their intro. And so whenever a server goes up and they introduce themselves, they'll give them their whole spiel, right? And they'll always say, "Can I interest you in some fresh baked bread, hand cut steaks, made from scratch sides, fall off the bone ribs, or ice cold beers?" And so those 5 keywords or those 5 phrases, those are part of the story. And we as servers had to pick 3 of those 5 options to include in our intro with our guests. And I think that's pretty cool and pretty fascinating. To the guest, you probably wouldn't even realize what's happening, but we're kind of throwing those little Easter eggs in your head and kind of making you think, like, maybe I do want an ice cold beer or some fresh baked bread or a hand cut steak. And so next time you go, kind of keep an eye out for that. Another big piece that I think sets apart Texas Roadhouse from any other casual dining restaurant is the fact of how involved they are in the community, and they go as far as doing things like for schools, and they're always giving out vouchers, and they're always doing stuff like for career days and just local events. They're always plugged into the community, and that's something that you don't see a Darden restaurant doing. Even when you walk into their restaurant, sometimes they have little like bulletin
They have like a little
boards.
community board, I think. Like
So another reason why they deserve the award. I think that it's a long time coming, and I think what better restaurant to be on top.
that is true. It's very like you said, they definitely give that home well not yeah, home like family oriented feeling. Like you know that when you're there,
Your
you're gonna be
family,
taken care of and everything's gonna be fine. Like they give you that like family vibe.
but very chill and relaxed. Like we want you to come have a great time with your family, but also know that we're going to take great care of you.
Yep, that's true.
So the poll results are in from last weekend, and Texas Roadhouse won by a landslide against Olive Garden. So I think you guys also agree that Olive Garden may just be a little overrated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that because it's like I don't want to mention this earlier when we're talking about like the difference in bar, like at the bars, but it's like I do think that that's another thing that I will probably say, like if I was to pick between the two, like at Texas Roadhouse, I at least know like okay, like they actually have liquor for you to like make stuff.
Like a normal restaurant.
Yes, like I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Like being a bartender at Olive Garden, you're a glorified barista. Like they have like their little fancy espresso machine to like make all these coffees and whatnots. And I'm like, I don't. Again, I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't understand how people can have like a full blown like lasagna pasta meal and after all that be like, let me
Give
get
me
a
cappuccino.
coffee
I think it's
or
more of
chocolate. I'm like, all right.
I do that, but obviously not while I'm eating it. I think that
No,
once my
that's what I mean.
meal
Like
is
after
over,
that, like
yeah,
I can't.
I feel like,
I'd rather have a dessert at that point. Like if we're gonna have something
yeah,
sweet, I don't want chocolate.
well, to each their own, but I feel like that kind of takes us into our closing. I think that coffee is a perfect way to end a meal. I think that it goes back to, how we were talking about it's an Italian thing. And I could have sworn that I heard this somewhere. And I don't know if it was Cesar that told me because he used to work at Olive Garden, that I think part of like the corporate team of Olive Garden, they actually go to like Italy either to do research. I don't know. I could be very wrong. This is just secondhand information that was told to me.
I was there for 2 months. I would not know about this.
I think it's more of like an Italian thing and maybe even like a Hispanic thing. I don't know if Americans do this so much as like Hispanics or maybe Italians that after dinner or after a meal, they'll have like a coffee or like a little dessert. And so I think that that's where they lean into more of like the Italian culture and experience, which is why they have the coffee, the espresso, and the cappuccino. So they lean into that part of the culture and experience. Whereas Texas Roadhouse, you're not going to have that after eating steak.
Like you said, to each their own. You're never gonna catch me having a coffee.
So I know we were talking about coffee, right? And how bartenders can be glorified baristas. Babe, are you aware of Starbucks?
No, I've never heard of such a place.
Well, get on it. Have you heard of Seven Brew?
Yes, I have.
So for everyone who doesn't know, Seven Brew is actually a very well-known, I think, coffee shop. A few months ago, they opened up one a couple blocks over from where we live, and I've had it for the first time, and I am obsessed with their vanilla latte. One thing I will say about Starbucks, no shade, to have a good Starbucks, especially at Christmas when you have their Christmas cups, there's nothing else that can beat that, right? Except maybe a Dunkin' Christmas cup. But so if I were Starbucks, I'd be kind of like keeping my eye out for my competitor, Seven Brew, because they could possibly sneak up on them and dethrone them next. They are a very much like Chick-fil-A. They have a very much Chick-fil-A like setup. They have people out in the lanes and they're taking your order so that you can like hurry up. And I think it's just kind of the sense of urgency, right? Sense of urgency.
I mean, kind of. I feel like it'd be more effective if they had like a window
Because they have two
to
lanes.
order. Yeah, I know that. I feel like it'd be better if they kind of had like a window, like a full-on Chick-fil-A setup where they have like the window still,
Oh, I get what
like
you mean.
if they don't want to have people outside, like let's say it's too hot, like out here it's hot as hell.
They got fans out there.
A little fan is not gonna keep you
No, they got
up.
the big ass fans.
Yeah, but it's not gonna keep you like cool in 112-degree weather when it's
You
peak
never
summer.
know. You never know.
At least a little more shorts, so instead of
Yeah.
that hot ass Chick-fil-A uniform.
So Seven Brew, if you haven't heard of it, hear about it because Seven Brew is actually gaining its popularity and could potentially be creeping up on Starbucks. As evidence has shown, it has increased so Seven Brew has shown an increase in customer spending at Seven Brew and a decreased spending at Starbucks. Seven Brew also has a huge focus on drive-through convenience and lower prices. So apart from it being a more convenient way to order and a more convenient structure, they also have competitive prices with Starbucks. Starbucks can be expensive. It's
It's
outrageous.
ridiculous. How much they charge you for a goddamn coffee?
It's insane. That's a huge reason as to why buy Keurig, invest in one.
And I wonder if, because you mentioned like the drive-through convenience, I wonder if Starbucks had 2 lanes, if they would.
Babe.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying it's a maybe, because
No.
I do notice that because Starbucks always only has 1 lane.
No, the new one by our house, but the new one by Whataburger right here at the corner
Still has 1.
It has 2. There's 2 lanes there. One of them they only use for mobile curbside,
Okay, that's what
mobile
I'm
carryout.
saying. Like that.
But they have it, and like I don't know if they don't use it because they're not busy enough.
But that's the point I'm making. Like if they were to use it, both of them, for drive-through, maybe the lines wouldn't be as backed up. But who knows? Food for thought, Starbucks. Food for thought.
So I'm gonna challenge you guys. If there's a 7 Brew in your area, give it a try.
Oh my!
Give it a try. Let's give Starbucks a run for their money. Starbucks, don't come for me. No, just kidding. But I don't know. I personally feel that Starbucks could be, in relation to our topic today, a little bit of an Olive Garden.
And they are open later too, by the way.
Who is?
7 Brew.
Some Starbucks are open till midnight. Are
7
they?
Brew, I think 7 Brew is open later. They close at 11 most of the Sunday through Thursday, and 12 on Fridays and Saturday. Now Starbucks, same schedule, yeah. Sunday through Thursday, 11, weekend. 12.
So 7 Brew is actually open later.
No, I said same schedule. Sunday through Thursday, 11, Fridays and Saturdays, 12.
Who?
Starbucks. That's why I said they have the same schedule.
But if you're balling on a budget, I definitely recommend 7 Brew for sure.
It is definitely more. They do sound friendlier than your Starbucks baristas.
I'd have. Well, the people at the mall, they already knew me, and they were so lovely to me. Maybe because I was pregnant, I was always ordering like a hot chocolate or something. But
she was ordering coffee.
Yeah.
Not hot chocolate. Don't believe her.
As much as I love Starbucks and I respect them and like the Starbucks empire, I think it is time. I think it is time that we see another coffee shop on top. I don't know if they have like a breakfast menu or if they have breakfast options. As much as Starbucks does, I love me a bacon Gouda. I love me a bacon Gouda, and I cannot speak. A bacon Gouda and egg sandwich. Starbucks has a chokehold on me there.
I don't even know. This made me think of that. I didn't want to like throw shade at them and say their name, but all this coffee talk made me think of that one coffee shop.
Which one?
Like I was so excited to try. Like your family
Dutch
was.
Bros.
Well, I didn't want to say their name, but okay.
No, Dutch Bros in San Antonio, one of the locations. I literally tasted my coffee and I was like, I'm tasting a burnt tamal. I was like, this coffee is old. It was disgusting. I also am not a cold iced coffee drinker.
As a coffee drinker, I just sat back and watched it all unfold, and I was like, "This is why I don't drink
that was
coffee."
Like a year and a half ago. I was so upset, but
yep, fun times.
Yeah, I don't know. Get it together, Dutch Bros. Get it together. I'm also not a very big iced coffee drinker. I think that it waters down my coffee. I like to enjoy a nice cup of Joe in the morning, but it was just not for me. So
they have hot options though, don't they?
They do. Yep. But what I got tasted like a burnt tamal. That's why I was like, never again. Like, you only can make a first impression once, and my first impression was dog shit. So on to the next, which was 7 Brew. And I actually think that 7 Brew has more options as far as like health friendly options.
Just healthy options.
Yeah, they have like healthy options. So they actually have like smoothies and juices, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They do more than just coffee. They do like ice cold like slushies or
Is it maybe a Texas thing because it's hot as shit?
Maybe. Who knows? But definitely go check them out. Before we end this podcast, once again, congratulations to Texas Roadhouse. You guys are the reigning casual dining restaurant in America. Very well deserved. I think your bread alone should be the winner.
Drug tested.
No. But
they're putting some in that bread.
No, those like
there's some on that bread.
Yeah, for real though. Shout out to them. Let's give our flowers to Texas Roadhouse. Very well deserved. We love you guys. Babe, do you have anything else you want to say?
Just to add on, yeah, congrats to Texas Roadhouse. They are definitely... I've only been there a handful of times, and I can say that every time I went, I was definitely satisfied. The food was good. It was not anything that I was like, could have been better. No, everything was good. And if you work this weekend, you know, hope you have a great shift. If you're off this weekend, enjoy, be safe, don't do anything crazy. But back to the people who are working. If you're working, I hope you have a great shift. Nothing goes wrong or awry. All your food comes out on time. Nothing's burned. And most important of all, well, first, I guess, well, not first. Second, most important of all, hope you have no rude guests. And most important of all, hope we make a lot of money.
Next week, we will be having our 86 Stats segment, and we've already gotten some submissions come in from you guys, and I can't thank y'all enough. We truly appreciate it, and I've been reading some of them, and they're kind of gnarly. So you're going to want to tune in and listen to that. Make sure that you're following us everywhere. Our friend Jessica will be back in studio with us for this episode. It's going to be very, very fun. Get ready because it's story time. Once again, happy Saturday. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, and have a great weekend. Don't forget to do all the podcast things, like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast, and on our Libsyn website. You can listen to us for free straight on there. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And don't forget to clock out.
We'll see you next week, please.